following is an episode of the Brian Brawdy Show, and listener discretion is strongly advised. Because if you're easily triggered, outraged, offended, maligned, mortified, insulted, or otherwise verbally injured, if you're constantly looking for a bubble, a safe space, some training wheels, or some water wings muffin to get through your day, take it up with a therapist. I'm not your shrink.
Thanks for listening to the Brian Brawdy Show. It's time to mortal up.
Good evening once again. Welcome to episode 522 of the Brian Brawdy Show here at RadioBri.com. Tonight's title of the show, Back the Truth. But I got to tell you, just like last night, and then like Tuesday night, and then even before Tuesday, like Monday night, there's so much going on in the world. I'm just thrilled to be here sharing it with you. Let me say hello quickly to Candace. Candace, thank you for joining us. And of course, Dana, thank you so very much. Henry says, bring it on, Brian, and thank you, Wayne, for all you are doing. Absolutely true, Henry. And you'd be surprised how much he does. Well, that's not true. You guys know me, so, right, that anything gets done is all Wayne's to do, right? Anything that I do is much to do about nothing, since we're throwing in Billy Shakespeare the last couple nights. But so many things going on, so much breaking news. Before I jump to Wayne, because I thought that was going to be the breaking news story, but this just in, given everything that happened to Steve Scully today, people close to the negotiation are saying that Dan Rather is going to be the executive producer, but Brian Williams and Steve Scully are going to team up on a new news format show called the BS Daily. Apparently the BS stands for Brian and Steve. And the subtitle, the working subtitle, because, you know, these things are always, it's very fluid, right, Wayne? It's always changing. You never really can tell. These things come and go when you're trying to get a new show written and up. But the working subtitle is, don't you just hate it when your helicopter is brought down by an enemy hacker? So that's some breaking news right off the top. I like to lead with the breaking news whenever I can so that I don't forget about it. That's tonight's breaking. Thank you. Dana very much says, thrilled to be here with you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And, of course, Dan Rather isn't going to be an executive producer like Wayne is. Wayne knows what he's doing. So, Wayne, you had some big news for me last evening, right when we went into the post-show production, and then you've been keeping your finger on the pulse all day long. Give me an idea of what you've learned, what you've gleaned, what's going on today, and why is Counterpunch Media not unlike the New York Post today? Why are you feeling their pain over at Counterpunch?
Well, apparently last evening, when we were talking about Hunter Biden, well, let's see if they got me now.
Here you go.
They went ahead and for about a minute and 35 seconds, they shut down our audio.
No.
Then they brought the audio back up again. And when we brought up at about 34 minutes into the show, we brought up the WHO.
Right?
Well, they shut down our feed.
Oh, so they'd had enough by that point.
Yeah, and the rest of the feed was shut down for the rest of the night on YouTube only.
On YouTube only. Isn't that interesting? Well, it makes you guys at Counterpunch Media like the New York Post in that all you're trying to do is tell the truth. All you're trying to do, as tonight's show title says, all you're trying to do is back the truth. And then you're just clicking along, doing what you normally do. We're talking about Nancy's turbocharging the 25th, my working conspiracy theory of Nancy Pelosi. You know her, you love her. Come on, from the West Coast. And then we happen to throw in Hunter Biden. But here's how I think we're going to beat them, Wayne. You ready?
Go for it.
From now on, the code name is going to be Bunter Hyden. So we're just going to take the B in Biden, put it in place of the H in Hunter. So it's going to be Bunter Hyden. And then that way, these brainiacs, these book burners, these people that, you know, would have put witches to the stake or thrown them in a pond or whatever way back when, these people have reincarnated now and they're censors on social media. So just so that YouTube and Google, who are we kidding? It's Google. They own YouTube, right? It's like if you're out walking your dog and your dog has to go to the bathroom in someone else's yard, it's not the dog's fault. It's your fault. You're the one walking him. You're in charge. You're pulling his leash, her leash, so to speak. So we know it's Google. So to keep Google from shutting down our feed again, Dana says, gatherer Biden. Well, if we're talking about cocaine and illicit dollars, Dana, I think you'd absolutely have something there. Sarah says, that means you are doing a great job. Well, that's the way I have to tell you, Sarah, that's the way I took it. Candace says, gotta hide the truth because it hurts, cry babies. It's so funny, Candace. I was going to do a celebrity impersonator this morning or this afternoon for the show for Tommy Lee Gifford, who will be moving to wherever his motherland is. And I was going to have a celebrity impersonator do a baby crying. So it's interesting that you said that. I was thinking about that as well. Good evening, Miss Putnam. Nice to see you. And I have to tell you, every time she puts up these pictures on Facebook, Wayne, she's like a pampered chef. She's like a food delivery service that makes my mouth water. Then I come down here to the booth and you're eating homemade wontons, right? Which, look, I don't want to throw the cultural appropriations flag, but boy, they sure look good. I got to tell you that. So that's the breaking news we're going with today. We got shut down by Google last evening because we talked conspiracy theory. We talked, how is it that these people get to be billionaires, right? You look at Pelosi, you look at Schumer, you look at Biden, you look at all the rest of these. They're public servants. How do they get to be billionaires? It'd be like having a billionaire garbage collector. Oh, I was very frugal. I was very thrifty. I saved. I cut out coupons. Yeah, Nancy Pelosi. A lot of people might not know this, but Nancy Pelosi got all of her money by cutting out coupons for that ice cream that's like $75 a pint. So that's some good news there. News you can use. No fake news here. And maybe that's how they did it. Maybe how that's got to the point. But in an attempt, Wayne, to make certain that they don't do us to us again on Mug Pamphlet, on Spitter, and most certainly over on Google's YouTube, let's now call it Bunter Hyden. And believe me, these walking, talking Venus flytraps that are looking for anything they can to throttle you back, it'll get right by them. They won't know, right? They're not all that bright. That's why they work for Mug Pamphlet and Spitter and YouTube, right? So we ought to be set right there. The laws they pass protect their shares. There you go, Dana. Insider trading. There's another great one. Thank you so much for your input. All right, Wayne, so we've covered Counterpunch Media. Did you know that the New York Post, in terms of media outlets, has the number 4? Like if you take all the media outlets, Wayne, the New York Post is number 4 in terms of followers on Twitter. So you guys are in some great company at Counterpunch Media when you think about it, right? Number 4 on Twitter, and they throttled down the Hunter Biden. I'm sorry, I did it already. The Biden Hunter Biden. Who's hiding? Bunter's hiding. I'll get it here sooner or later. You know what I mean? So Counterpunch Media is doing great. You guys are right up there now, running neck and neck with someone. As Sarah said, just shows you guys were doing the right thing, right? So now they throttle our feed. It'll be interesting to see tonight, Wayne. I'm sure you're keeping your finger on the pulse. You're watching the dials. Are we going out live on Spitter? Wayne, put the wontons down. Are we going out live on Spitter?
Yes, we are.
Okay, and it's still over on YouTube and here on Facebook, which will be a good time for me to thank everyone for listening, although it could be throttled back at any moment. Thank you for sitting on the edge of your seat along with me if you're over on Google's YouTube. Thank you so very much. Thank you if you're here in the Facebook feed. We love having you here. Don't forget, regardless of what they do to the video, right, you can always get the audio at mortalup.com. BrianBrody.associates. You can get the audio over at RadioBri.com. So even if you can't see my ugly mug doing this show, you would miss some of Wayne's really cool graphics, which leads me to think about, Wayne, let's do this quick little thing, and then we're going to run to my new favorite graphic. What do you say?
You got it.
All righty. Celebrity voices impersonate. That's amazing. It's uncanny. It sounds just like me. Candace says crack pipe. Brian says, hey there, Brian. If you're just getting here, you've missed a little bit of breaking news, but let me catch you up on what's going on. Brian Williams and Steve Scully are going to get together. This is just across the wire. Brian Williams and Steve Scully are going to produce a show along with Dan Rather, executive producer, just the bastions of truth in media reporting. And it's going to be called the BS Hour. I'm sure it means Brian and Steve, right? But the BS Hour, produced by Dan Rather. And I think their first expose is going to be on National Guard documents. So that should be riveting television, I'm sure. And speaking of riveting television, and wait, let's just do this. Can we please, because I have to group them all together. There's so many lowlifes making headlines, so little time. Can we run with lowlifes making headlines for tonight? Let's catch everybody up on what's going on there. My phone was ringing off the hook today with people going, how the hell did you know that? How did you know that's what was going to happen? But can we run that, and then we'll get this a couple because there's just so much to get to. Lowlifes making headlines, or as we like to call it around here, brains that make your blood boil. Here's your brittle brain atop a balsa wood spine for today. All right, so here we go. I'm going to have to start wearing a heart rate monitor, right? Because it really does make, talk about brains that make your blood boil, that pumps your heart. It's absolutely that. So last week sometime, right, Steve? Steve. Right? Right, Wayne? Yeah. It was last week sometime we highlighted Steve Scully as our lowlife making headlines. There you go. Thank you very much. You remember, formerly of C-SPAN, kind of like the artist formerly known as Prince, Steve Scully, formerly of C-SPAN. And we didn't necessarily say, we didn't like that it was an anti-Trump tweet. He wasn't called a lowlife making headline for that reason. We didn't even mind that he was a former intern for Joe Biden and that he was now going to moderate, officiate, whatever you want to call it, the rumble that was supposed to be the next debate. We gave him the lowlifes making headlines because this tool is too vapid to know the difference between a direct message and a public tweet, right? That's why he got the award. At least that's why it is for me. I didn't care that he's anti-Trump. I didn't care that he misled people and said, I can be objective. Brian Williams, he's been a great mentor to me, just like Dan Aykroyd. Sorry, Dan. I loved you in Blues Brothers. You were just great. Dan Rather is what I meant to say. Mind, I'm telling you, going with sugar enough. Well, Dan Rather, he loved him. So I picked him for the lowlife making headlines because he was just too dumb, too stupid. You can't have people in media being that dumb, right, Wayne? Wouldn't you say?
I would say so.
Bring a little bit of an edge to your sharpness. Then, as if you couldn't even write this stuff. How long have we been saying, Wayne, you couldn't write this craziness? Go ahead. Our new favorite segment, and I sincerely, Wayne's going to send out Steve Scully's. We had his address at C-SPAN, but now that he's gone, we're working to try to get his home address. Maybe we should just send it to his buddy Scaramucci, the Mooch. Send it to Scaramucci's address, and then he can get his copy of the official Lowlifes Making Headlines certificate over to him. That would be great. Candace says, oh, my God, Spartacus had me fuming today. As Spartacus would, of course, she's talking about our good friend of the show, Cory Booker. Still won't come on, though, so I don't know how good a friend he really is. Dana Lee says they are all complicit. You can have people that dumb. You can't. I think he's saying you can't have people that dumb in the media. I would absolutely agree. But in fairness to our friend, now unemployed, working as an Uber driver, I'm pretty sure we're working to confirm that, working as an Uber driver here before too long, he has helped us with a new segment. And Wayne, if you'd go ahead and throw up our little logo for the new segment, we'll kick it off. I love it. It's time for Jousting with Journalists. And Wayne's brilliance is such, he put journalists in quotes because that's the last thing these people are, right? Jousting with journalists. And now you're thinking, Brian, do you have to double dip when you do this thing? Does your first journalist also, let me guess, is it going to be little Jimmy Accosted from over at the Circus News Network? No. Who's it going to be? It is someone from the Circus News Network. Here's the other reason that I'm picking a fight with him today, that I'm jousting with journalists, because this guy gives Brian's a bad name every day. Of course, you're thinking I'm talking about Brian Williams. Brian Williams can't even begin to give Brian's a bad name like this guy, Brian Stelter. Now, you'd think after Steve Scully, right, had his helicopter shot down by an enemy hacker, right? You'd think that Steve Scully, you'd have something to report there. So here's Brian Stelter. Speak about BS. Brian Stelter, I wonder if anyone's ever told him that. Nickname BS at circusnewsnetwork.com. Brian Stelter laments, it gives the media, it makes us all look bad, gives us a black eye. It tarnishes the media. Yet he has a show called Reliable Sources in the Media, which is why we're jousting with him tonight. He has a show called Reliable Sources, and he doesn't even approach this subject. And speaking of holding people's feet to the fire, can I ask you a question, Wayne? You know a lot more of this technical stuff than I do. You and I both know Steve Scully came clean, coward that he is. Steve Scully came clean, and for all of you saying, oh, Brian, are you piling on? You're kicking him while he's down? You're damn right I am, because he's a coward, right? He says, it wasn't me. What are you, Jim Comey? James Comey? Say, it wasn't me. It was someone else in the intelligence agency. Wasn't me. Someone else is to blame. Wasn't me. No, I'm above reproach. So this Steve, the Coward Chronicles, Scully, says, no, it wasn't me. It was a hacker. And the only reason he came clean today was the FBI goes, we do hackers. We can get to the bottom of this. We can get, and sure as punch, Wayne, an FBI agent called the bosses at C-SPAN, and they probably got Steve, coward of the county, Scully, on the phone and said, we've conducted an investigation, and we're coming to arrest you for falsely reporting. That's how smart this guy is, right? That's how sharp. That's right. Just a cutting-edge cognition this Steve Scully is. And he came clean today because the FBI called and said, we're going to come and arrest you. We're going to perp walk you for doing a falsely reporting. So here's my question. Since you and I know that the FBI is good at this kind of thing, where was it in 2018 where Joy Reid, again, and the only reason her name is like front and center in my mind is Brian Stelter, Reliable Sources, Circus News Network. You find it odd that he's interviewing Joy Reid, and Joy Reid claimed that her account was, quote, wait for it, I know, right, hacked. So if the FBI is going after Steve Scully, the FBI can't go after Joy Reid over, now is she at CNN or is she over at MSNBC?
She's basically a contributor to the different stations now.
Oh, to the different stations. Okay, so Joy Reid, wherever she is. And then Brian Stelter, right? So then he goes, his role model, his shining beacon was Dan Rather. Wayne, what happened to Dan Rather? Did he just retire? Did he go off into the sunset like Walter Cronkite? Whatever happened to Dan Rather?
Well, Dan Rather went off into sunset after he reported on that false George Bush story.
So he was lying as well.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. So Reliable Sources has a habit of interviewing people that lie for a living. Wow, well, isn't that just nice? Reliable Sources, which is why I say in our first official segment of Jousting with Journalists, it goes to Brian Stelter at Circus News Network. How many people that have been proven to not be honorable? Right, maybe they're honorable in other walks of life. I'm just talking about when the camera goes on, the microphone goes on, and they point at you and go, hey, you're on, you lie. So that's why Brian Stelter, coupled with the fact that he just gives Brian's a bad name, and that's saying a lot when he's up against Brian Williams. Good Lord. All right, Wayne, we're going to take a quick break so you can have another wonton. I'll take a quick sip, and we'll be right back.
Portions of this broadcast have been pre-recorded.
Why? Because you can't get these people to hit a call time. They're the worst. Nah, I'm just kidding. We love our guests. We do love our guests. Thank you so very much. We're now just 10 minutes away. We're going to open the phone lines at the bottom of the hour. But don't forget, you can text us. Let me just put this right up here. Grasshopper, we have an extension. So if you text us at 833-667-8251, that's 833-667-8251, it will come immediately into the studio. Henry says, I'll have my shish kebab burnt to a crisp. Jousting with Journalists. Yes, sir. Thank you very much. They will turn on each other. Guaranteed. Rats usually do. Well, listen, no one's calling James Comey, other than me, no one's calling James Comey a rat. When your feet get held to the fire, you blame career service people in the intelligence community, right? You blame people underneath you, not your responsibility. You're too tall. You're too holier than thou. You're too smart. Talk about another coward. They sure as hell have kicked our president when he was down. There you go. They wished death on him when he had the Chinese flu. Denise, if you would, we call it around here, just to be politically correct, we call it the Wuhan wheeze. So if you don't mind, far be it for me to ever tell you what to say, right? But we call the Chinese flu the Wuhan wheeze, right? Just to get past, that's just what I'm saying. Just what it is. Dana Lee says, I do. Henry says, journalists lie and get fired. Politicians run for higher office. That's all I'm saying. It's kabuki theater. Dana says, rat, rat, rat. I like Jack's. You know what? We're going to have to use Jack. Thank you very much, Jack. He says, reliable journalist. So, Jack, that's a great one. Wayne, could we do a segment? And, Jack, if you don't mind, I'm going to steal it. I'm going to plagiarize it, and I'm probably going to remove your quote so no one will ever know that it was your idea, right? Because we'll just run with it like it was our idea. But instead of reliable sources, we need a segment, Wayne. And let's give Jack some credit. In fairness, it is Jack, and I wouldn't delete his tweet. But reliable sources. So if you're going to continue to rely, you're just going to hash it up. You're going to regurgitate falsehood time and time again. That should be a segment. Reliable sources. I love it. Dana, thank you very much. We kind of like the Wuhan wheeze. You know what I mean? It just a Chinese flu, whatever you want to call it. And here's the thing. Everyone's been calling and texting me going, boy, you sure nailed that Steve Scully a week ago. Please remember that when all the smoke settles, there's going to be all kinds of things that we said back in March, back in April. Wayne says, lights out in 3. Yeah, exactly. Right? That'll be the next thing that happened. They kill the power. You'll hear the sound of a Black Hawk helicopter, and then we'll be gone. Jack Daly says, cool. We'll give Jack some, just like who's that guy? Wayne, can you show the graphic again about We Feel Your Pain? So I can read that guy's name. I should read his name. What's his name? Ben Garrison did that cartoon. If you're progressives, tweeters, Spitter lets your tweets fly out like bats out of the Bracken Bat Cave in Texas. But if you're conservatives, you get shadow banned, and Crankin' Jack doesn't do anything about it, all the time saying he's fair and balanced. So what we'll do is, because we gave Ben Garrison credit for that cartoon, Ben, thank you very much. Let's give Jack credit for reliable sources. That's how we'll do it. That will be a great segment. So
already on
another
it.
thing. I'm sorry?
Already on it.
Hey, I know you were. See, that's the thing, Jack. All you got to do is say to Wayne, hey, how about this? How about that? He's got some great graphics. All right, so speaking of great graphics, normally we would save this for Friday night, but we got a big night tonight. We're going to have a big night tomorrow. Major announcement we'll probably do towards the end, I would think, of the show tonight. But, Wayne, could you throw up Maleficent 7? Let's just get to those before we open the phone lines at the bottom of the hour. Oh, here we go. The Maleficent 7, right? 7 people. You just couldn't do, right? You couldn't do 7 lowlifes making headlines. Of course, you can head on over to mortalup.com. We have a poll. Let me get to that right after we get to the Maleficent 7. Then we'll go to mortalup.com. You'll be able to do the poll, and we'll figure out what it's going. Of course, Bunter hiding. Boy, he sure is hiding. Now, you might be going, what is Larry Sabato? Why did he make the list along with Joe Lockhart and little Anthony Go-Get-'em Tiger Scaramucci? Why would you put those people? Why would 3 of them make the Maleficent 7? Oh, and you could have said, why didn't you throw in Brett Hume? Absolutely. Why didn't you throw in, who's the other guy, Wayne, that did the first debate for Foxtrot News? What was that guy's name with the glasses? His dad used to be a journalist.
I don't have no comment.
Mike Wallace. His name could have been thrown on here as well. But why did we put in Larry Sabato, Joe Lockhart, Anthony, I wish I weren't such a rat, Scaramucci, right? I weren't such a mooch, Scaramucci. Why? Because those were all the people that guaranteed you and me, guaranteed you and I, whatever the proper way is of saying it, guaranteed us that Steve Scully was telling the truth. that he really was hacked. That I'll bet my professional reputation that it was hacked. Boy, I bet you Steve Scully, when he gets his Uber job, he's going to be driving around sending a lot of those fruit baskets. You know the edible fruit stuff, Wayne, where they make all kinds of fruit and it's on little sticks? Thank you, Dana Lee. And Candace both say Wallace. Right? All these people that went to assure us that Steve Scully was telling the truth, even though now he's busy driving around passing out, I'm really sorry, edible fruit baskets or whatever you do when you're caught red-handed in the cookie jar. Finally, the FBI catches somebody. So that's why they're in, because they all came out on Twitter, over on Spitter, the blue bubble verse. Oh, yes, if he said it, you could take it to the bank. Really, Sabato, you loser. Lockhart, Scaramucci. Wah, 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 wah. And, of course, you had to throw in Jack Dorsey, right? Because what would Spitter be if they weren't busy trying to censor? Selective censorship, I should say. All of a sudden, they have an idea. All of a sudden, they go, oh, could be fake news. We're going to have to censor that. Where was the censorship during the Russian collusion? Where was the censorship during the Ukraine call? Where was the censorship on all these other things? Oh, no, we got to get our fact checkers on it, right? Our fact checkers were able to drop our show last night on YouTube. And how long did it take them, Wayne?
Well,
how many wontons did you get in that bowl? How long did it take YouTube last night to shut us down?
To shut us down, it took 34 minutes and 12 seconds.
All right, so in 34 minutes and 12 seconds, these fact checkers can't see if the New York Post is telling the truth?
That's basically what it boils down to.
Hunter Biden turns in a laptop. Listen to me, please. Here's a public service announcement before we get ready to run to the bottom of the hour. But before we do, let me just throw in Mayor Betsy Driver to come up towards the bottom of our Maleficent 7. She's a mayor somewhere on the East Coast. I think it's Jersey. She basically told everyone regardless of your position or regardless of whether we're friends or not friends or Facebook or this or that, if you vote for someone other than the person I tell you to vote for, go ahead and remove yourself. Save me the luxury of blocking you, right? So here's a publicly elected Betsy Driver. You make our Maleficent 7, not because you threaten people with blocking them, but here's the reason why, Wayne. She believes any of us could give a crap if she blocked us, right? That's what's fascinating about these people. Oh, we'll show them. We'll just show them. I'll block them. Oh, thank you. I was looking for a reason to try to have a garage cleaning, right? A spring cleaning, trying to clear up some room for some people that I really like. Dana says, fact checkers paid by the Soros organization. Well, listen, Dana, I'm here calling on George Soros to pay him a little more so they could get their job done in under 38 minutes. That's all I'm saying. Oh, thank you, Henry. Henry says, why not Jamila Karis? We're coming to that, right? Because she's she's a unique lowlife making headlines. Who knows? She might round out. She might be her own Maleficent 7. She might get all 7 spots. And before we run to the bottom of the hour, quickly, Meghan and Harry, because why wouldn't you put them on the list of the Maleficent 7, right? Like, let me just ask you. Now, I know some people are into having a king, having a queen, having someone, your overlord. I get all that. But do you really care? Meghan and Harry, what they do, where they live, what they think, where they go. Boy, is that me? Oh, look at this. Hey, Wayne, this call, you know this is coming in? This is a little new. All right, Wayne, I'll let you answer it.
Nothing coming in here.
Oh, all right. Well, I don't know if we can let's just try it. Let's see what happens. We're going to open the phone lines anyways. Hello, good evening. Who's this? Oh, hey, Dana, how are you? Let me just check to make sure Wayne can hear you. Wayne, we got a call coming directly into the studio. Can you hear Dana's voice?
Nope. I think what happened is the phones aren't being forwarded.
All right. So Dana, hold on one second. Only because Wayne is having a difficult time hearing your voice. So what we're going to do, because I want to get your comments, I'm going to go ahead and make sure that the call is forwarded over there. We're going to run to a quick break at the bottom of the hour. Could I ask you to call the studio line, the 833-MORTAL-1, call that right back. Wayne will get it, and you'll be the first one on to kick off the next half hour. Sounds good. I love you too. Bye. All right, Wayne, we're going to click out of there. I don't know what I did, so let me make sure we're totally out of here. And then let's run to our little bottom of the hour soiree, and we'll be back, and it sounds like Dana's going to be on the line with us.
You're listening to The Brian Brawdy Show. Why? because you know the truth when you hear it. He'll be right back.
Welcome back to the Brian Brawdy Show, brought to you by our good friends at Counterpunch Media and Certifiable Brilliance. It's time to buckle up. All right, before we get to Dana, always a wealth of information. Before we get to that, let me thank Counterpunch Media, especially for taking it on the chin with the feed being interrupted because I talked about Bunter Hyden. I talked about Nancy Pelosi trying to turbocharge the 25th, my conspiracy theory about how she wants to be picked as the vice president when they bump Kamala Harris up after they use the 25th to get rid of Joe Biden. So thank you, Counterpunch Media, for taking it on the chin for me last evening. Also, I want to thank Certifiable Brilliance. We'll be talking a little bit about that in the days ahead. Probably not tonight because we have a lot of other things to get to. And the phone lines are now open. So give us a holler, 833-MORTAL and the numeral 1. That's 833-667-8251. Dana, we'd love to have you call. If you can go ahead and give a call back in on the studio line. And we've got some breaking news. While we're getting Dana on the line, we'll do a quick recap. Our Jousting with Journalists segment today is with Brian Stelter, and thanks again to Jack Daly from totally reliable sources. They always lie. They always regurgitate a falsehood over at the Circus News Network. Our Jousting with Journalists segment, if you missed it, was Brian Stelter doing everything he can to give Brian's a bad name. And you know what? He spells it with an I, too. You couldn't even get him, right, to spell it with a Y. That'd make it a little easier, wouldn't you think? If he could do that, I think that would be great. All right, so let's see. Wayne, quickly, let me know. What else is going on today? What do you got going on there? I think Dana's calling back. Let me just make sure there isn't anything here. I think we've got everything forwarded correctly. Dana, sorry about that. Is the mix-up, audio, settings? Let me do here. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So, Wayne, what do you think? What else is going on?
I don't know. You had me jumping through hoops today.
I know. It was kind of a busy. Well, here's the thing. You know what I mean? When you think about you guys taking it on the chin for me, I super appreciate it, right? You and the New York Post right up there, you know, getting to the point where they get to throttle your feed, your official feed, because they don't like what we're saying. So, of course, I was going to watch out for you today. And do you know what I mean? Do everything I can to kind of throw you a little bit of protection, only because of the job you did to block for me last evening. It's just unconscionable. I still can't believe here. What do you think? Isn't that weird, Wayne? If there was nothing to see here, then you'd be going, all right. They're just going to throttle this thing because there's nothing true to it. Candace says he's gone. Let's see if we can get back in. Oh, we'll make a quick call. Now I actually get to call into our own studio. Hey, Wayne, are you able to hear me yet?
Yep, you're back.
Oh, there we go. Oh, isn't that freaky? Who knows?
I was going through checking to make sure it's back on everything.
All right, let's make sure that the feed's going back on everything. Wow, that's kind of
So it's on Twitter, it's on YouTube, it's on Facebook.
Uh-oh, there you go. So, and it seems like, are we having difficulty with the phone lines as well? What's going on with that? Dana's not able to get through. Is that it?
I'm not sure. Let me see something. Just keep on going. I'll get.
All right, keep on going. Then we'll see what's going on. Mortal Up posted a new video. Well, we're back now. So thank you all for sticking with us. Who knows what? See, second night in a row. Apparently, they're not a fan of some of the things we're talking about. And as Wayne reminded me, 522 broadcast episodes. It's never happened before. Never has the feed just been interrupted, unless there's like a huge power outage, something like that, right? That we can show that it's at our end that we've had a technical glitch, right? But never coming from them, coming from the social media platforms themselves. Very, very spooky. Dana, I'm sorry we're having a difficult time. Whoop, whoop. Thank you very much. Sorry we're having a difficult time with the phone lines tonight. Who knows what's that about? I got to figure out who owns our message switching service, our Grasshopper service, right? That'll be the next thing we have to figure out, why we can't get people's calls in, but we'll work on that. So, Dana, if you could, until we get that worked out, give me an idea here in the thread if you're over on, where are we at? We're over on Facebook now. Give me an idea of what you were thinking about as we try to get the phone lines back up and running. All right, Candace says weirdness. Absolutely true. Wayne, how are we looking on Spitter? How are we looking over on YouTube? Everything still good there? All right, let's just do
we're
this.
looking good there.
We're looking good there. All right, we have the signal all the way back up. We're waiting on Dana. See if she can post in the thread here, see what's going on. All right, we're going to run. It's 20 till. Let's do a quick little segment, Wayne, till we can try to get everything back in order here. And then we'll be back in just a minute. The phone lines, well, at least the text lines are still open. You can go ahead and give us a text as well. Wayne?
The views expressed by guests are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent.
There you go. All right, it sounds like we might have...
Here comes Dana.
Here comes Dana. Oh, be that were it true.
Hello?
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 Hello, Dana, if that's you. How are you?
Hello?
There we go. We got you on now. What's going on?
Awesome. I just love you. You know that, don't you?
Thank you, my friend, very much. I super appreciate the feelings mutual. Please tell the G-Man we said hello as well. Here's why I love talking about you. You have your finger on the pulse of all kinds of things. Not just in upstate New York, right? But you have your finger on the pulse of all kinds of things. So what's a burning topic you would like to discuss this evening, as opposed, you want to talk about the Maleficent 7, we can. You want to talk about Steve Scully, we can. I don't know why you'd want to talk about Brian Stelter, but it's up to you. It's open mic. What are you thinking about?
I am thinking about back in the day when journalism was created, there were guidelines and expectations and ethics that they needed to follow. Somehow, through the social media and these antitrust deals with tech, it has changed. The FCC should be held accountable and responsible. I am pissed. How am I going to make an educated decision when you're purposely, intently giving me false information, and then when they do give out false information, they do not correct it? So maybe creating some sort of policy as into here is the framework and how you need to operate when you're giving the public information, because if we're relying on you to make educated choices for our family and you're flat out lying, you now become my enemy.
Right. Well, I would say that that's absolutely true, because you have the maniacs versus the masses. The rest of us are just trying to make it through the day. We're doing everything we can. And then you have a debate moderator not smart enough, literally not smart enough. I can guarantee a lot of people don't know this. He wears penny loafers because he hasn't mastered the acumen for tying a lace in a shoe yet. So he's still wearing slip-ons, probably wears like clogs, right? Steve Scully wears clogs to work. But here's the question that I have for you, Dana. And I was going to do some research about this today, but you'll, if you don't mind, you'll be the research for me. What is it that social media, the tech giants, what is it that they're prevented or they're shielded by the law where they don't have to play by the same rules as telecommunications giants? And I don't know how you could have a bigger telecommunication giant than Facebook. Do you know the ins and outs of that particular law? And why is it that instead of just subpoenaing Mark, instead of subpoenaing Jack and bringing them all in and trying to make a soundbite for yourself, why not bring them in and then change it so they no longer have that particular protection, just for the reason that you say, Dana?
Right. I do believe that there's something going on as we speak speak in the high courts in regards to breaking antitrust, but what these people have done is has monopolized the social media. There's no competition. You know, Facebook bought out their Twitter. They're all in cahoots. So I know the word antitrust, and I think that's a lot different laws than, you know, like an LLC and a corporation. So I'm not very familiar with it, but I do know it's on the table, a part of this. But I feel what they're doing is they are, you know, like in 1984 in George Orwell, you're taking down conservatives' views. You're taking down people who are not agreeable with the populace. But I don't see you taking down child pornography. I don't see you taking down Antifa. I don't see you taking down other hate groups. But if someone else says something that you don't agree with, you get to silence them. That's a breaking of the First Amendment. You're breaking people's constitutional rights. You want minority rights, but you avoid respecting individual rights.
And that's why I think, Dana, Wayne and I were talking about it today. Henry says money talks and all others obey. Also, you should know Candace said to tell Mr. G, your mom is so cool. We all love her. So I concur with Candace. Absolutely. All right, so here's the
love
scoop.
You guys.
And this is why it's so infuriating, is that it's a very cowardly move to not being able to handle a debate. So you move right away to squelch that debate. You don't have the chops, the cognitive chops. You don't have the backbone. You don't have the philosophical spine to hang in a discussion. So you scream racist, or you scream Russia, or you scream whatever it is you're going to scream in an attempt to get that person to go, you know what, it's just not worth the debate. Whatever happened to the concept, and I think it goes back to this day, and it goes back even before social media, that sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me. Well, now with social media, if you don't agree with me, I'm going to unfriend you. Look, you and I both know, Dana, anyone that would unfriend you over a political view was never your friend in the first place, and they did you a favor by removing themselves, right?
Right. Gabriel wanted me to make a point to say hello.
Oh, hello, Gabriel.
Hello. Okay,
how are you? Nice to see you again. Nice to hear your voice as always. Henry says distractions. And Dana, I think that's what you were talking about as well. They're doing all this other stuff. And if I could quickly, and then I want to get your response. I believe that the greatest service, giant tech, and today it's Google, YouTube, obviously, Spitter, and Mug Pamphlet. The greatest service they did to help the GOP was to block the content of the Bunter Hyden story yesterday. What say you?
You know, when you remove a person's tongue out of the mouth, you're not afraid so much of what that they're lying. You're afraid of what they're going to say. I sent that meme to you the other day.
Absolutely.
So I think, you know, we've gotten so distracted of, you know, it's not even so much any longer about the information. It's about the argument. Because you can come up with a solution, but they just much rather argue the topics to get their point across. And it doesn't matter if we don't think alike, but we do have to think together, because right now our nation is trying to be taken over by people who don't want to see anything good for it.
I absolutely agree. And Wayne and I were talking earlier today about why I say every day this is the absolute greatest time in the history of the world to be alive, because you never can tell what they're going to try next. But the cool thing about it, Dana, is you know that when you mortal up, and we'll tie that into the mortal up segment here in a little bit, when you mortal up, when you square your shoulders with whatever mashugana they're going to try, then you and I can't be beaten. They act like they can. Another question I have for you, Dana, how is it that all these public servants, Biden, Schumer, Pelosi, who's the other young lady in California, well, all of them, how are they all billionaires now?
I definitely know. Like when the coronavirus occurred, there was a bunch of, on both sides of the aisle, dumping stocks.
Sure.
So now they have insider trading. They have insider information. They create rules and regulations to increase their stocks. Why does Pelosi want money towards the Kennedy? Follow the family, follow the money, and it will give you every answer. When they passed the TSA stuff after 9/11, half of them that passed all that breach of privacy on the American citizen, they had money into the employment of the TSA, into the machines of the TSA. So if you follow the money and where they have and where they're spending, they'll show you who they represent. And it sure as hell is not their citizens.
It's not. That's what we say all the time. We talk about the difference between the maniacs and the masses, your overlords and all the rest of us, just believing that they believe in the Constitution, believing that
this money
they
has
believe
turned
in
them
due
into
process.
psychopaths.
Yep,
They're all
absolutely.
psychopaths, really.
Absolutely. Candace says, heck, they are blocking our president. I was speaking to Wayne earlier today about that, where it wasn't just the press secretary, but it was the president's account, his campaign account. And what was it, like 2 or 20 million people follow? In any event, some ungodly number of people follow this and Twitter. Jack and the boys over at Spitter blocked it because of the, the Bunter Hyden story. And if you're
But they don't block Antifa. They don't block, MAPS,
Right.
minor attracted people.
Yep. No,
They like to
absolutely true.
change the words and the meanings. I like underage girls. No, you like children. Oh, I had unconsensual sex. No, you rape. So it's ridiculous. We really need to start. And then there's so many people that don't even want to speak up because of this. And we need to. We need not to be quiet. It's up to us, like what you do, and start getting that information out.
you.
The right people who need to hear it will hear it.
Well, that's just it. Is there enough of the right people left to make a difference? There was someone that I spoke to the other day. She's probably 22, 23, and she had made the comment that you're guilty until proven innocent. And at some point, if you think about it, if you look at China, you look at Russia, you look at some of the other countries that we're up against, they're in it for the long game, Dana, right?
Oh, yeah.
They're in it. And if it takes
This has
a
been in
day,
the
a
works
week,
for
a month, a
decades.
year, a decade, a century, whatever it takes, they're in it for the long game. So we're constantly up against this battle. And maybe this is the end of the long game. Maybe the leftists in public education, maybe just social media, the media, anti-social media, if you will, mainstream media, maybe we're in the final portion. Maybe we're in the end game, because if you've got a 23, 24, 25, whatever year old, that says you're guilty until proven innocent, why would people make up the stories? Why would Steve Scully say there wasn't a hacker if there wasn't a hacker?
The same reason they said there was a Russian dossier and there wasn't.
Listen, can I be honest with you? Let me just tell you this quickly. I cannot wait to see how this thing unfolds. And the scary thing, like you can say, oh, well, Joe Biden, he's not all there. Hunter Biden is a crook. You have all these other things. I just want to see this investigation go its natural course, right? I want to see if they're guilty, put them in prison. Try them, indict them, try them and convict them. If they're not, accept our apology. We convict people all the time that are innocent. But don't try to stop us regular folks, us people that still have to work for a living, us people just trying, as you said, Dana, to be able to get the news, to be able to make the decision for ourselves and our families and our livelihood, not water down human wherewithal by feeding us all this this malarkey, this mashugana, chicanery, I think, is what Joe Biden called it the other day. Do you think, Dana, that we're in the 11th hour of the long game? Or do you think there's still time to pull this off?
At the end of the day, my faith is in God, and I know it says in the Bible when Christ died, it said, he won, it's over, it's done, they're scrambling. They don't know what to do with themselves, they're falling apart. Anybody who understands anything about psychology, they're all a hot mess. They may have more money, but we have more people, and I guess where my frustration is coming from is he was elected in there. The people put him in there. So when you're doing this and saying this about our commander-in-chief, you're basically pooping on the people who have a different view than you, and this is not what it's about.
Dana, you're deplorable. You're deplorable. How dare you question their motives? You and I are deplorable.
I'm so proud of it.
Right? We're the flyover. We're the ones that don't deserve to know whether you're going to, just like Nancy Pelosi, well, we have to pass the bill before we can read it, you dope.
Yeah,
You dope,
yeah.
right? Right? You people busy running with scissors, playing in traffic, right? Putting your head in a plastic dry cleaning bag. You people, we have to pass Obamacare before we know what's in it. Odd.
They know. It's
Joe
a
Biden says-
1,000-page document.
Yep.
And why are they wanting it so bad? What is the mean? How much kickbacks are they getting? It's unconstitutional to say, here, I want you to buy this, but if you don't, I'm taxing you. And not only that, I'm going to raise yours up, but I'm also going to give it to somebody else who isn't even a citizen. So to me, that's just mind-blowing.
Look at Joe
It goes to show where their thoughts are.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say that then Joe Biden's stealing from Nancy's, like you said, follow the money. Nancy's just follow the one-liners. Joe Biden says, well, you don't deserve to know whether I believe in packing the court or not. You have to elect me to figure out whether I deserve
to be president.
Sarah says, guilty till proven would have made our jobs a lot easier. Boy, wouldn't it? Dana, let me ask you this. With the dueling banjos tonight, right? Deliverance. What is it? NBC versus ABC. I have new respect for the Peacock, I got to tell you. NBC or ABC, is it possible, will we be able to look at what happens tonight? And if, like, President Trump has more followers on Twitter, 10-1 what the followers on Twitter are for Joe Biden. So people say, well, maybe we can read the tea leaves there. Will we, Dana, be able to look at the Nielsen tonight? And if more people watch President Trump, is that a wink, wink, nod, nod? Is that a poll that Trump supporters should listen to? Now, if ABC gets all the Nielsen, everyone's watching Biden, should we look at that as like a top secret behind the scenes poll? Or do you think there's people tuning in to
Nobody's
watch
watching Biden. He's got like 10 people at every place that he goes to. Trump has like slews of people on the drop of a dime when they hear he's coming to town, lined up waiting for him. I mean, they're just absolutely ridiculous.
The Candace says they won't tell us, but come on, Dana, let's be honest. Don't you, like, if it's a commercial, don't you want to keep the remote close at hand? Because aren't you just dying to know how sorry, brother. Don't you just want to know how Biden's going to blunder, what he's going to say? Hundreds of thousands of people killed every year by handguns, 250,000 military people, when there's only 7, died of COVID, 2.7 trillion people have, right? I have to tell you, it's like a traffic accident. You just can't turn, right? You can't turn away from. Be honest.
My problem is when I know someone's a liar, I stop listening. Because if you're not going to give me the respect of talking to me and telling me the truth, or at least acknowledge what you do know instead of talking on stuff you make like you know, but you don't, I don't listen to liars. I expect them to lie. I can't even watch Biden.
Okay, fair enough. That's a great answer. Thank you. I just like, when you think of these dueling banjos, when you think of these dueling, and we're just a couple minutes away from it, as a matter of fact, I believe it kicks off at 8 o'clock Eastern time, then Dana, maybe we should have you back on tomorrow night and we'll discuss what the numbers are. Candace says, I have never taken a poll in my life. Well, Candace, you could head over to mortalup.com if you want me to be your first. If you say, Bri, I'll take a poll for. Right? I've never taken a poll before, but I'll take a poll. You could, if you'd be so kind, head on over to mortalup.com. We've got a poll up there. You could say that. Your vote could be the one that tips it. Candace says, doesn't matter. He's running for the U.S. Senate. That's right, Candace. He most certainly is. Dana, thank you so very much. Wayne, thank you for putting up the poll. Remember, your voice deserves to be heard, damn it. Dana?
That's all of ours, guys. And again, we don't have to think alike, but we do have to think together. This country is asking us to.
And the poll, Dana, is, will Facebook and Twitter finally be held accountable? We'll find out. Hopefully we'll find out in the days ahead, and we'll know by this time tomorrow, Dana, what the Nielsen numbers were, and we'll kind of go from there. All right, Dana, thank you so very much, especially with all the craziness that was, who knows, the phone, the signal, they're cutting everything on us, right? Thank you for jumping through the hoops. Give Big G a hug for me, and we hope to talk to you tomorrow night. Sounds good.
Good night. Thank you, blessings.
Good night, Dana. Thanks so much.
Bye.
All right, now listen, here's our last little bit, and we'll do a double Mortal Up, a couple minutes of Mortal Up tomorrow night. We've got some big news. I'm going to try to squeeze it in the last minute. We'll talk about it at length tomorrow night. But we have made kind of the command decision with all of the consultants, the good folks at Counterpunch Media, of course, IPMNation.com, our sponsors, our schedules, and just the nature of the beast now. Starting Monday, the Brian Brawdy Show will move to noon Eastern. We're going to start the beginnings of a noon to 1, a noon to 2, and a noon to 3. And the only way we can do that is to have our show be broadcast live noon Eastern starting this coming Monday. So I just wanted to thank everyone that's helped us build these numbers, helped us build the following. As Candace says, I thought aliens got Wayne. I know, right? It's not alien soup. His wife's just a great cook. She makes you just wouldn't believe it, right? So, but we wanted to get this in before we go tonight. Tomorrow night will be our last night at 7 o'clock. Thank you all, especially if you're not able to listen. We hope you share this around. We hope you're able to join us at noon, but we'll be doing noon Eastern starting this coming Monday. Thank you all on YouTube if we're still going there. I'd like to say thank you to the people of Spitter, but all we do is fight when I'm there, so why would you even bother? Thank you to the folks here on Facebook. And as always, if you're listening to the podcast version, thank you so much to Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, the whole shooting match. And yes, starting Monday, we will be noon Eastern, Candace, and we hope you get to join us. We hope you get to listen in. Thank you all so very much for everything. I'm going to let you go so you can catch whatever town hall you'll be watching this evening, and have a great night. We look forward to seeing you back tomorrow night for our final 7 p.m. appearance, getting ready for noon Eastern starting Monday. Thank you all so very much. Have a great evening.
Thanks for listening to the Brian Brawdy Show. Until next time, get out there and mortal up.